The Newsday continues here on One News Now, Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. U.S. President Joe Biden has invited President Bongbong Marcos for a bilateral meeting in Washington on May 1st. The White House said Biden will reaffirm the United States' commitment to the defense of the Philippines. Washington said the two leaders will review deeper ties in economy, climate change, and human rights. The Philippine Foreign Affairs Department confirmed Marcos Jr.'s scheduled trip to the U.S. A DFA said his itinerary will begin on May 1 to be followed by several engagements until May 4. The DFA said the president will advance the country's socio-economic and development priorities. He will also harness closer partnership in areas of agriculture, energy, and technology, among others. Socio-Economic Planning Chief Arsenio Balisacan warns that high inflation and the onset of El Nino would make a dangerous combination. Balisacan says government must begin mitigating the impacts of El Nino as early as now. This as the dry season is expected to take a toll on agricultural production in the country, which would result in lower food supply and higher prices.
Putting the necessary adjustments now to reduce the negative effects, while at the same time already making arrangements for the necessary support for those who are most exposed to, particularly the vulnerable groups. With the inflation, the elevated inflation that we have now, if you are unable to reduce that inflation, and then you get this El Nino phenomenon, that is a dangerous combination, and we want to prevent that from happening.
It's not all doom, however, as the National Economic and Development Authority reports that the country's inflation rate is on a downward trend. This after inflation in the country eased to 7.6% in March from 8.6% in February. Balisacan says the government is now taking steps to make sure inflation falls within target by the end of the year.
Yeah, we're seeing that. We are actively monitoring the situation and implementing the necessary measures to ensure that by the end of the year, we should be in our target of roughly around 4%, 3.5 to 4%. Yeah. So we are on that downward trajectory already.
Still from NEDA, the National Economic and Development Authority Board has approved the institutionalization of existing programs aimed at alleviating poverty. The NEDA board greenlit the so-called Social Protection Floor as endorsed by the Cabinet Social Development Committee. NEDA says the Protection Floor institutionalizes existing programs that have been, quote, proven to work. Among the recommendations are the full implementation of universal health care and feeding programs. It also pushes for improvements to the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. The government will also undertake efforts to address teenage pregnancy, as well as support children in need of special protection.
The guarantees should ensure that, at a minimum, everyone in need has access to essential health care and basic social services. These guarantees work together to provide effective access to goods and services that are defined as necessary at the national level.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The government is seeking a $350 million loan from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank for the first phase of the Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge project. The first phase covers civil works involving navigation bridges, marine and land viaducts, as well as approach roads. The project connects Bataan and Cavite through a 32-kilometer long bridge. Meanwhile, NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said that while the Philippines welcomes China's funding, is not only the source of investment and potential funder for the country. Former Palace spokesperson Harry Roque earlier warned that territorial issues derails China's sponsored project. Independent asset management firm Atram has developed a mobile app where investing has become a lot easier and more convenient. Let's talk more about that with John Virgil Banta, Vice President and Head of Atram Prime. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Diego. Good morning. And good morning to the viewers of One News Now.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. We'd like to ask you, let's take a first step back. It has been reported that more and more Filipinos are now into investing since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. What could have driven this?
Yes, definitely. Diego, over the past couple of years in the pandemic, Filipinos did have the opportunity to get more disposable income, and due to the lack of outlets of consumption, a lot has gone really into investing as well. So right now, I'd say that Filipinos are now more aware of what their money is worth and how they can grow it better.
And sir, do you expect the number to further grow? I mean, the demographics of investors, who are they? Are younger Filipinos into investing now?
Actually, it's across the board, Diego. And I think it's going to keep on growing. The number of Filipinos looking to invest will be growing. It started with like what you mentioned, the pandemic, where it kind of got into a trend, and now it's something that will stay permanently in the Filipino in the Filipino mindset. As you know, in our current situations, globally and locally, inflation is high. There are several uncertainties in the world. Investing now for the future is definitely in the minds of Filipinos. Keeping the value of their money intact and also growing it is something of great importance now across our millennials, Gen Zs, and also our older demographic.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir. I think it's the access to all these online platforms that makes it easier for the younger generation to invest money. And this is where your app, Atram Prime app, comes into play. Who's your target market for this service? Retail traders or long-term investors?
Oh, thanks for that, Diego. On the Atram side, as some of your viewers might know, Atram is known in the asset management space more on B2B or institutional clients. But right now we're looking at targeting clients directly, and it's through our digital channel, the Atram Prime app. On our side, our main target really are those people who would like to experience the next level of investing. And what do I mean by this? Currently people invest by their banks, traditional ways, and other platforms, and their experience might not be optimized to their liking. So on the Atram side, we took a look at the pain points of traditional and emerging investing outlets, and we tried to solve them. So Atram Prime really is for those who don't want to wait in long lines, sign documents every time there's a transaction. It's for people who want to get personalized recommendations to build their portfolios, those who want a dedicated service team to answer their questions, and those who want to invest in award-winning products with an institution that's known for living and breathing asset management.
Of course, we'd like to know, is there a minimum amount before an investor can start investing through the app?
Yes. So on the Atram Prime side, all an investor has to do is open an app and fund it with an initial 100,000 pesos. This is because when you're opening an Atram Prime app, you're actually opening a trust investment management account. So a trust investment management account in other institutions actually have a higher minimum, Diego. They usually peg it at 1 million pesos. But on the Atram Prime side, we're looking at making it easier for our investors to start building their portfolios. And with that 100,000, they immediately enjoy the benefits of being a Prime member.
And of course, we'd like to share now what are the special services or features within the app to at least gain more investors to use the app instead of just doing it the traditional way? How does buying bonds become easier with Atram Prime?
Oh, that's great. Actually, that's one of the latest things that we did, Diego. We now offer retail treasury bonds on the Atram Prime app. Aside from that, we have over 20 award-winning investment funds that's managed by Atram right now. And not only that, you get a dedicated client support team. You get exclusive insights and outlooks from Atram Prime's experts and personalized investment recommendations. And buying and selling investments, including the RTBs that you mentioned, Diego, is a breeze. It only takes 3 taps and you're already invested.
That's interesting. And what are the other features within the app that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I think the main thing there is that you'll be able to see your portfolios in a very smart way. You see all your investment holdings in a graph, in a pie. You see your gains and losses, and you're able to manage your portfolio in anytime, anywhere. Aside from this, we have direct lines to dedicated personnel, which you can contact at any time if you have any questions or concerns, or even just seeking advice on different investment outlets. And what we're proud to say is that our features are not only limited to the app. We have services that go beyond the app. We reach out to you and update you via email, SMS if there's anything that's happening in the market. We give outlooks to you, and also we're here to answer your calls directly, having a direct line to somebody.
So it's just like you're saying that the app just is part of a bigger package with actual access to your wonderful team.
Yes, that's right. The app is just a channel, but there's a lot more behind it. It's our initial touch point to the target, to our market, but it has with it the backing of everyone in Atram, the expertise of our investment managers, the service of our teams, and also the features that we are able to provide you on the app.
And let's move on to the estimate of number of Atram Prime app users. What's your target for this year, 2023, in terms of numbers?
For 2023, well, what I can tell you is that currently on the App Store and Play Store, we have a few thousand downloads already, and we have a few hundred clients who are Prime members. For 2023, we are looking at trying to breach in the lower 10,000s in terms of our client base. Of course, we're looking to grow it in a very, very manageable way so that we can provide services to all of them in the best way possible. Because it's really the experience that we're looking after for clients like you.
All right, thank you for joining us this morning, Sir Virgil John Banta, the Vice President and Head of Atram Prime.
All right, thank you.
Rice prices in Metro Manila markets are going up, just as the country struggles to beef up its buffer stock. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with a report.
Rice prices are again on the rise in several markets in Metro Manila. In Paco Market in Manila and in Barangka Market in Mandaluyong, the price of well-milled rice has gone up to 40 pesos per kilo, while a kilo of premium rice costs 43 pesos. Expect to pay more for Sinandoming and Jasmine rice, with prices reaching as much as 50 pesos per kilo. Meanwhile, a kilo of brown, Mindoro, red and Dinorado rice averages 60 pesos. Small business owners said that rice prices goes up when unhusked rice or palay prices surge. Meanwhile, the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG said that since January, a kilo of palay cost 23 pesos up from the previous 19 pesos due to higher production cost. The increase in palay prices triggered a domino effect, and now consumers are left to carry the burden. But for a country that considers rice as a staple food, Filipinos are left with no choice but to tighten their belts and dig deep into their pockets.
United States Trade Representative Catherine Tai tells One News in an exclusive interview that U.S. businesses want predictability and transparency in countries they are looking to invest in. Pai tells One News' chief correspondent Ed Lingao that business leaders from the U.S. are looking for countries that are transparent in their regulatory processes. She adds that investors are less concerned with equity percentages but more so with sustainability, both in terms of economic activity and the environment. During her visit in Manila, Tai discussed with government officials the negotiations for the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework involving 13 Indo-Pacific nations, including the Philippines. Tai tells One News that transparency, rule of law, good governance are crucial elements in the economic ties between the U.S. and its Indo-Pacific partners.
I'm so delighted that we have the Philippines actively engaging in these negotiations, precisely because if you look at the structure of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, it is from the United States our program of engagement for the 21st century to allow us to work with some of our closest partners in this region of the Indo-Pacific to produce economic outcomes that will be resilient, sustainable, and inclusive.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. All sides, all the time.